Welcome to Doug in Exile. We're going to do this live today. We're going to hang out, experience the battle for Iran together. I don't know if you say that we're at war with Iran. I don't know what the proper term is. I don't know if it's a military, blah, blah, tactical strike, blah, blah. We're going to get into all the debate on the whole thing, the news side of it. And of course, pray for the safety of the good people of Iran, the people that want freedom. And of course, the United States, all of our military is over there. Pray for their safety. I pray for their success. And I pray that we're on the side of God and not that God's on our side, as Abe Lincoln said. So welcome, guys. Let's get some of you in here. We have 53 watching. Of course, you know to give us the thumbs up. And we'll check in with you all day. I'm going to include some news items that you guys sent me that I got, that I pulled. I'm going to also say I like to tone down the rhetoric on war, but you're allowed to say what you got to say, because this isn't going to be entirely a popular campaign. When I woke up at about 4 a.m., 3 a.m., and Trump had already made this announcement. This is an 8-minute announcement. I'm going to start here with his announcement. Look at the black behind him.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication.
Okay, I'm just going to pause this. I'm going to play the rest of the final 2.5 minutes of this in just a second. I just wanted to welcome all you. Welcome to Doug in Exile. We're covering the Iran, the battle really for the freedom of Iran live. So welcome. If you're just joining us, there's 1,000 of you out there. That means it's time for a thumbs up, and that'll blow this out to even more people. Thank you for joining us. You, of course, you 1,000 people are really all I need to put on a show and to cover the news. What you're seeing Trump do in the first 5 minutes. So this came on this morning at 2 a.m. is when the strike happened. He's making the case why we went in. This is a very disciplined speech. This is a very careful speech. He had to give reason, because he doesn't want to be nailed as a war criminal by the Democrat Party, which they're going to do. And I'll show you all the news around the world on how they're responding to this. Yes, it's true. Jury rigged, $100 super chat. Date night recovery fund. Well done, sir. He paid for the beloved Miss to Naples and my date night last night. And we went to the Mellow Mushroom and got a giant calzone and some chicken wings. And we went to a whiskey bar across the street. And we listened to a live musician. Just a wonderful slice of Americana, in contrast to what's happening in Iran. But yes, I'm recovering with you this morning with a cup of coffee. Here's the rest of Trump. We're going to go into all the fallout on this, including all the people giving Trump heat already. Remember, the Democrats do not want this to succeed. The Democrats are enemies of anything Trump. And so if Trump does something in Iran, they want this to fail. They want as much collateral damage as possible. They want him to be impeached and unseated. They're going to use this as an excuse. They want Israel destroyed. They despise Israel. I'm going to also go into the AI. Here's a tweet on AI. With AI buying all these chips up, is it a concern that China will invade Taiwan soon? China's always wanting to invade Taiwan soon. It's not just chips. They believe they own that country as a sovereign, same way that Russia thinks it owns Ukraine. Here's the rest of Trump.
My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes
Amen.
in harm's
Amen.
way, and we
Amen.
trust that with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death. So lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the
That's pretty clear, guys. That's pretty clear. And I'm not, people accuse me of being a warmonger or a chicken hawk or da-da-da. As you guys know, right now, my son Johnny is in Kilo Company at Paris Island as a Marine recruit going through boot camp, trying with all his skinny little might to make it into the Marines. And he could lose his life in this war. So I'm not here screwing around going, ha, I know the title says they found out. They blanked around and the Ayatollah found out. What Trump is saying here, he's going, we're willing to put our boots on the ground. I don't believe that he is willing to put boots on the ground, but I don't know. I think he's trying to scare the Ayatollah's radical, evil, monstrous army to preemptively lay down their weapons. You have to talk tough. You have to be willing to back it up too. But I am with Trump right now. I am praying, even as I talk to you guys, I'm praying the Lord's will be done. I'm praising God for being good. He is so good. I repent of my own sin because I don't want us going over and shooting someone else over there as if I'm God and I've got it all figured out. And you're a sinner and you're evil and you deserve to die. I hope it's clear to my audience that Christians have always believed we deserve nothing. We deserve, through the fall, the world stands condemned already. We beg Jesus for forgiveness because we know we're already dead. So I do pray that now countries go to war. I'm going to go into this. I'll let Trump finish this. I just wanted to say, continually pray, guys. Prayer doesn't mean we get our wish. God's not our genie. It means we ultimately believe he's in control of everything. There's such a thing as good and evil, that we want to be on God's side. We don't want him to be on our side. I want to be on God's side. God's will, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And then that governments are made to do exactly this. Go fight evil. And this is going to go, this whole war is going to be in conflict with a whole lot of isolationists who believe in just give me my money, give me my prosperity that I didn't earn. I did not spill my blood for this country. Greater men, that's why the lyrics to my songs are, this country was fought for by better men than me. And I get to enjoy the benefits.
Great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
Boom.
This will be probably your only chance for generations.
Boom.
For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Boom. That was officially from the White House. That, I think, is the best speech I've ever heard Trump give. And it was only 8 minutes, guys. That was amazing. So he very clearly gave the case for why we are involved in this war. I see a lot of headlines. We'll go to the Google headlines too, but a lot of the headlines are saying this is a joint operation between America and Israel. And I think they're trying to play into the anti-Semites' hands, going, this has to be evil because once again, we're doing Israel's evil will. That's what all the conspiracy theorists say. It's Israel, Israel, Israel. I just talked about yesterday, Netflix did not win the deal to buy Warner Brothers. Do you know who won the deal? It was Paramount. And instantly, as soon as that's announced, all my friends were saying, the main guy, president of Paramount, is a big Israel supporter. So they already do this big conspiracy that it's Israel, Israel, Israel. But what they don't tell you is that 90% of the money came from Arab countries, Muslim countries. 10% from a pro-Israeli president, 90% from the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, a Saudi company, and Qatar put billions of dollars in to help Paramount buy Warner Brothers. And what's everyone's response? Israel. I knew the Jews were involved. So we might completely dominate this whole situation in Iran, and it's going to be Israel is just puppeting Trump. It's not true. It's not true. I will continue to make this case. Trump just laid it out that for 40 years, Israel's been shouting death to America. They've been blowing up our troops through worldwide terrorism. This regime that he just now bombed, and I'll show you the bombings too. We're going to go into all this. They also had an assassination attempt on Trump last year. So remember these things. We don't go in lightly. I think the case has already been made. Jury rigged, $100 super chat, retired Army, and hate the thought of another conflict, but I trust Trump and my fellow Americans. I'm with you. We don't want to do another war in Iraq, and I supported the war in Iraq, the war on terror. In hindsight, we look at it and we go, we got nothing. We got nothing. We liberated a country, established elections. Remember the purple finger? And the conclusion was the people, they just didn't operate. Come to find out, you can't install a little America in the Middle East. That's the theory. I actually think Iran was in better shape before Jimmy Carter got involved with the Shah and ended up really creating this whole Ayatollah's regime where allegedly it's 20 to 30% of the country support this form of Islam, and the other 70% of the country do not support it, and they are being buckled under its regime. At least that's what I'm told. Now, I showed you guys this video last night. This was the final red line that Trump drew, where he flat out said they just will not give up what we need them to give up, and that is the desire and the plans to make a nuclear bomb. Here's Trump, and right to his right is Ted Cruz. Let's go. Abbott down there in the...
Well, they should make a deal, but they don't want to quite go far enough, and it's too bad. Look, we've been playing with them for 47 years, and that's a long time. They've been blowing the legs off our people, blowing the face off our people, the arms.
Now, I literally met Gunny Sergeant who had his face blown off with a missile. His eye was blown out. I went to church in Colorado with a kid who, while he was over there, got his leg blown off with a explosive device, improvisational explosive device on the roadside bomb. We just came back from Israel, people. I was on the border of Lebanon, and there's signs all over these tourist areas saying you can't go in this field. It's full of mines. It's full of mines. And I feel bad for all the people of Israel now. I'm sure they're shutting down their tourism again. And those people were just starved. They've had their income. These are Christians, Muslims, and Jews who all work that tourist industry. Christians, Muslims, and Jews starving because tourism is big in Israel and they can't make a living. They were coming up, they were begging us to buy these little camels and scarves and whatever. Christians, Muslims, Jews, and they're every race. They're Israeli, Palestinian, Arab, every kind there is. White honkies over there. And now they get it right. We just got back. So they barely opened the window and allowed churches in. We just got back, and now they closed it again.
They've been knocking out ships one by one. But every month there's something else. So you can't put up with it too long. We're not happy with the negotiation. They just don't want to. They don't want to say the key words. We're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They have to say we're not going to have a nuclear weapon, and they just can't quite get there. They want to enrich a little bit. You don't have to enrich when you have that much oil. So I'm not happy with the negotiation.
So they found out. They dragged their feet, and really, the regime had no play. The Ayatollah had no play. Why? Because this is what happens when you only stay in power by threatening your own people and everybody else. And now he's trying to up the threat by getting a nuclear weapon. He knew if he could not get a nuclear weapon, he was going to get deposed anyway. So he had nothing to lose. That's why they can't come to the table and even mouth the words to Trump. Okay, fine, we don't want a nuclear weapon. This is also one that goes out to North Korea, because North Korea, they're right now threatening to massively expand their nuclear arsenal. This is a message that North Korea gets loud and clear. Okay? He's sending them to their virgins. Yes, it's true. Here we go. Now, this one was the most fascinating to me last night. This is Ronnie from Tennessee. She's one of our big supporters here on the channel. And you guys, the audience, I got the best audience in the world. Most of you have been watching for 4 years. You've been following me for 4 years, making me not talk to a silent wall by myself like a crazy person. You're my audience. Here's Ronnie from Tennessee. Please pray for my brother in the U.S. Air Force in Abu Dhabi. And she texted me this. Okay, this is a text exchange just to give you guys some color. This isn't on any other channel, guys. This is just us. She took a picture of her screenshot. This is at 3:52 in the a.m. It says, are y'all doing okay? We fine. Nothing to do with the United Arab Emirates. I just heard that UAE is telling citizens to take cover. That's at 4 a.m. Yes, we are now under attack, her brother says. I've been up watching what's going on. When the guy on the TV mentioned United Arab Emirates, I had to check in on y'all. So she's checking in. She's y'all from Tennessee. And then he sent this video of bombs going off in the distance. She writes, holy cow. He says, yeah, it's airspace defense missiles shooting down Iranian missiles. So this was in the middle of the night. Iran started spewing out missiles to United Arab Emirates. We have a lot of Patriot missiles batteries on the American side of the air base that I work on. 5 massive explosions happened before I could start the video. So they're not targeting y'all? No, the air base I work at. Dang. Are you going to have to head over there? That's all of our concern. Remember, and like I said, my son is in boot camp right now on Parris Island as a Marine. He could get inserted if they start sending our boys over, and he's going into the Marines, the tip of the spear. My son could get inserted. We're going to continue with more news. I'm just going to show you some of the color out there on the subject. Here's Megan Basham. She writes, this is on Twitter, when you wake up and realize the world is about to change, what is she responding to? It's this. Whoop. Ellie Khanum breaking says the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia states they will join the U.S. in operations against the Islamic Republic regime after the IRI attacks U.S. base in Saudi Arabia. So the Iranian regime sprayed their weapons out with everything they had. And, you know, they had a lot. And Saudi Arabia just announced they're going to agree with us. Now, let me find, I wanted to show you another quick graphic because this was another one that's interesting. I don't think anyone else is covering, but it's interesting to me. Watch this one. So this was at what time? This was at 2:30 a.m. This is Nikita Bear. This is the main guy that I follow who works at Twitter. He's a programmer who does all the X and all the AI programming. He says a wave of Iranian bots being filtered out. So what does Iran do? As soon as they're hit, if you look at this red spike up over here on the right of the graphic, do you see that on the right? This is the normal amount of bots over here on the left. This is February 22nd over here, February 24th, February 26th, and February 27th, suddenly there's a hail of bots going out. 99.1% of them are blocked by Twitter. So they sent out tens of thousands of bots on Twitter to do what? To sculpt opinion on this war. I want that to sink in. There are enemies of America that are trying to sculpt opinion in America from the Iranian regime on this war. So very important for all y'all. This is why I don't like manipulating other people in my audience to think like me. I want you to think for yourself. I just want to present you with lots of arguments. I'll make arguments. I'll try to convince you, but there's never pressure. The way that we should decide everything is using logic, reason, truth. And so the bigger question is not what do I prefer? I don't care what I prefer about Iran. I'm largely ignorant. I'm largely learning. And when it comes to war with bombs coming down on innocent people, mommy, daddy in an apartment, and suddenly they go boom. Even if you're an Iranian evil guy supporting an evil regime, you know, gotta be thoughtful. How's that? Now we're gonna get to, ooh, look at this. Thank you. Angie made me an egg sandwich. Can you grab these two? Do you mind? The beloved Miss Tenaple. What a lovely date. We had a lovely date night. This is Reza Pahlavi. Now, this is the royal family, the guy that in the line should be the president of Iran. So this is what the freedom people supposedly allegedly want. Is this guy's been fighting the Ayatollah from outside in exile. So he's in exile, just like Doug in exile. I stand with all the people in exile, all the outsiders. So here he is. He's giving a speech, but obviously.
هم میهنان عزیزم لحظاتی سرنوشت ساز پیش روی ماست.
Okay, and he has the Iranian flag there with the lion is his freedom regime. I'm going to have to read some of this because obviously I don't speak whatever that language is. What is that, Iranian or Persian or something? My dear compatriots, moments of destiny lie ahead of us. The aid that the President of the United States promised to the brave people of Iran has now arrived. This is a humanitarian intervention. For those of you who are just going, this is warmongering. And its target is the Islamic Republic, its repressive apparatus, and its machinery of slaughter, not the country and the great nation of Iran. That's why I don't want to call this the war with Iran. We're at war with the Islamic Republic. But even with the arrival of this aid, the final victory will still be forged by our hands. And this is important to me. Iran the people have to take their own country, just like we took this country. That's what legitimizes the country. You have to win. The people have to win a war. Now, they can get help from us, but they have to do it. Same way that America, we got help. We would not have beaten the English without the French. And in World War II, we wouldn't have beaten Hitler without the Russians. So just because you win a victory doesn't mean you can't get help. It is we, the people of Iran, who will finish the job in its final battle. The time to return to the streets is near. Now that the Islamic Republic is collapsing, my message to the country's military, police, and security forces is clear. You have sworn an oath to protect Iran and the Iranian people, not the Islamic Republic and its leaders. Your duty is to defend the people because they're afraid that the police force is going to turn against the people and start, pot-shotting them. Not a regime that has taken our homeland hostage through repression and crime. Join the people and help bring about a stable and secure transition. Otherwise, you will go down with Khamenei's sinking ship and his regime. And my message to the President of the United States, President Trump, is this. Now, this, I want you guys to remember this, because the Democrats say, Trump, we need to repair our reputation around the world. What they mean is we need to repair our reputation with the global elites, the globalist elites, the eat the bugs elites, the anti-human, destroy whole populations, abortionists, the evil ones. The noble people of Iran, despite the savage repression and massacres of the regime, stood firm with courage for nearly 2 months. I now ask you to exercise the utmost caution to preserve the lives of civilians and my compatriots. He does not want them gunning people down in the streets, even perceived enemies. The people of Iran are your natural allies and those of the free world, and they will never forget your support in the most difficult period in contemporary Iranian history. He's saying that to their police force and their army to turn on the evil regime, Khamenei regime, and to side with the people, your natural allies. By the way, I'll tell you, there was a message that Abe Lincoln gave after the Civil War to the Northern Army when they said, what are we going to do about all these Southern rebels? What are we going to do about these states now that we've beaten them? What are we going to do? Because Lincoln could have thrown them all in prison. His message to the troops, he said, let them up easy, boys. Did you hear that? Let them up easy. That's all the generals. The message went out to all the generals. All the generals said it. Let them up easy, boys. Just because you dominate them, you don't want them gunning each other and hanging each other in the streets. And to you, my dear compatriots in Iran, in these sensitive hours and days, more than ever, we must stay focused on our ultimate goal, reclaiming Iran. I ask you to remain in your homes for now and preserve your safety and security. Stay vigilant and ready so that at the appropriate time, which I will announce to you precisely, you can return to the streets for the final action. They're going to be conducting the freedom-fighting people to go in and take all their government back. And their only problem is going to be the police that operate under the Ayatollahs to control the people. Follow my messages through social media and satellite media. So that's also Elon Musk's Starlink. They're getting them out to the rebels. They're going to be able to get internet access and communicate. And I believe they're going to get armed, probably with help from us in Israel. If there are disruptions to the internet and satellite, I will stay in touch with you via radio waves. We're very close to final victory, and that I'm kind of skeptical of. Anytime they say that, you don't know asymmetric warfare. Ooh. I want to be by your side as soon as possible so that together we can take back and rebuild Iran. Long live Iran. Reza Pahlavi. I had a very good friend named Reza. I put him in one of my comic books, even, Rat Fist. Here's a warning to the West. Long live the Shah. America, Iran, and Israel. I saw a lot of this. I won't show it yet, but I'll tell you what I got when I went to Israel. I went to Israel, and a Palestinian Christian came up to me in tears. And he said, I have something special for you. He gave me a pin of an Israeli flag and a Palestinian flag next to each other. And it was yellowed. It was old. I got to get it on the show here. I didn't happen to have it here. He said they have not manufactured this pin in 25 years. And that's because Iran is putting all this enmity between them all. I just want to let you guys know that freedom, the love of freedom and liberty knows no country. America's best at it, but we're not the only ones, you know what I mean, who desire it. Now, you guys knew this was coming. I got to do this one. Thomas Massie. What does Thomas Massie say? I am opposed to this war. This is not America first. Thomas Massie doing the job of the Ayatollah. If you were the Ayatollah, what would you want Thomas Massie to say? Again, many libertarians in my audience, many isolationists in my audience. You're welcome to be that. But I never liked taking shots at Bush and our countrymen while we were overseas in battle, including if we're overseas in battle under Obama. I did like taking shots at Biden when he was surrendering and just doing the worst massacre runaway campaign in Afghanistan. But here we're on a fresh new battle. trying to establish freedom in Iran. And here's Thomas Massie. This is not America first. I have to ask, what is America if this is not America first? When Congress reconvenes, I will work with Rep. Ro Khanna, his best buddy, Democrat Ro Khanna, to force a congressional vote on war with Iran. The Constitution requires a vote. That is entirely possible, by the way, that all these little military incursions that we do, that Obama did, that Clinton did, that Bush did. Now, Bush got overwhelming support in Congress because of the 9/11, big marketing of that event. It's entirely possible that Congress could support him. I think Democrats are going to go back to the hippie anti-war party just because Trump wants it. And I think that's what Thomas Massie is playing here. But, America, we've always had a diversity of thought. Congress, we have separate forms of government, separate branches of government, so that you don't have one guy like Trump just declaring war and not having any pushback. So I guess Thomas Massie's the pushback. I just think he's illegitimate for getting in bed with the Democrats. I despise Democrats. I know Democrats do not care about our safety. I know they don't care about freedom. They don't care about the Constitution. So he's, in the name of the Constitution, saying, I'm going to partner with Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna does not care about the Constitution. He cares about opposing Trump. In fact, opposing Trump is the Democrats' only constitutional value. That's their constitution. They tore up the other one. The Constitution requires a vote, and your representative needs to be on record as opposing or supporting this war. Here's Thomas Massie with another post. This is from 7 hours ago. Acts of war unauthorized by Congress. The U.S. is attacking Iran according to the Associated Press. Associated Press also run entirely by Democrats. We'll get to what the Associated Press says. This made my thumbnail right here. And he's supporting Tucker Carlson here. Tucker Carlson, I can't get a read on the guy. Again, I'm fine with him having a voice. I don't care. But I'm just giving you guys, kind of showing you where the debate is. Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie, shouldn't you be posting about the Epstein files right about now? Where's the Epstein files? Shouldn't you be? Why are you posting about Iran suddenly? Why not stay on the Epstein thing a little longer? Here's Jay Plemons. Trump tells the Iranian people, the hour of your freedom is at hand. Take over your government. That's in the final end of this speech that we just went over, guys. Give us a thumbs up. We've got 2,400 people watching. I appreciate you all. Bringing you the news. I'm Doug in Exile. Bringing you the news live on Iran. I really just want to go through this with you as we battle that Iranian radical regime, not the people of Iran. We want them to take their country back. I will, for those of you just joining us, I will replay this speech by Trump. Well, actually, this is him saying, here's the full announcement. And I'll be eating this biscuit in the background off mic while we listen to Trump. It's going to take about 8 minutes. This is a handmade biscuit Angie made with sausage and egg because she loves me and she wants to keep me nourished while I'm on the air. So this is the opening speech. I just want to underline, Trump starts, the first third of it is him making the case for why we started the military, not incursion, but the bombing of just the Iranian regime last night. I got more video to show you, but this is going to be the main speech that I think is the most important. He's very disciplined. In the middle, he's going to be making the case. He's going to call the Iranian people to rise up. He's clarifying this for us. This is an 8-minute speech by Trump that he gave this morning at 2 a.m.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world. and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death. So lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach.
Okay, this is the riskiest move of Trump's career. Regime change. Regime change. I support it. I think this will be his lasting legacy if it works. If it doesn't work, this will, this is they'll probably, the Democrats are going to try and run him up on war crimes. They're going to try. Remember, for 2 months, God bless America, God bless President Trump, God bless Israel, God bless, and Iran free of Islam. Well, radical Islam anyways. I got more. Let's do this. Look, I'm in the corner now. That's me in the corner. Let's get me down a little smaller here. Daily Mail News reports, breaking news, Israeli media say growing indications that Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, was killed in U.S. and Israeli strike. So this rubble here on the left, I don't know if you can see it in the graphic here. It looks like the moon. That used to be his headquarters. And there were bombs. I'll show you footage of the bombs coming down too. Meanwhile, here's John Fetterman opposing that Thomas Massie claim.
Others like Thomas Massie, who wrote this, acts of war unauthorized by Congress. The U.S. is attacking Iran, according to the AP. What is your response to Massie and to your colleagues who don't agree with this?
No, that's bizarre. You know, I'd like to remind my colleague over in the House that Iran massacred 30,000 of their own people right now. This war is not about the Iranian people. It's about this poisonous regime. And that's why I'm proud to stand with our military. I'm proud to stand with Israel, too. I might be a Democrat, but in this specific case, the president is absolutely correct to do these kinds of actions. And now we have Israel's back. And now that's why it's entirely the path for peace in that region. How many treaties, how much negotiation? I never thought they would work. Iran has only ever responded to these kinds of things. And now here we are right now, and they have the opportunity, real peace, and to change their way, committed to trying to destroy Israel and destabilizing the entire region.
Fetterman is the only Democrat willing to support Trump. He cares more about the truth than his own party. He's in the wrong party. Your party represents caring about party over truth. So I'm happy to see, and Thomas Massey is joining Ro Khanna, the Democrats. Are those Kentucky values to my people in Kentucky? Thomas Massey's an embarrassment, okay? He's allowed to have his opinion. Go crazy on your opinion. I want your opinion to be voted out freely by the people. I don't think you represent Kentucky. This is a representational government. Right? Here's Brett Baer.
This trigger after much back and forth. Obviously, there are big questions that are out there as this operation has taken off, which is what comes next? What does the on-the-ground situation look like? How does this transition happen if it happens? But I was really struck, Brian, to your point that in the president's 8 minutes, he goes back years and years and years about what Iran has done to the U.S. directly. The Beirut bombing, to the terrorist actions, to the proxies, to the roadside bombs inside Iraq, run essentially by General Soleimani, who was taken out by President Trump in the first term. The actions of the Iranian regime back decades was part of this preamble of where we are now. He said they can't get a nuclear weapon. Their ballistic missiles are a threat to the region.
This is footage on the right that you're seeing of the Israel Defense Forces in Western Iran taking out their missiles. So these are the ballistic missiles that they said they would not disarm. And we knew about them, and Israel knew about them. That's Israel doing our dirty work. People are going like, why? Is Israel our number one ally? Why them? What did they ever do? Tucker Carlson says, what did they ever do? They do all our dirty work. This is some of it. Israel's always wanted to go to war with this regime, by the way, in Iran, because they faced the worst of it in October 7th, 2023 is an example of it. Not only did, as Trump announced as part of the justification for this Operation Epic Fury, it's called, the title's down there on the Chiron. It now has a title, Operation Epic Fury. This will go down in history, Operation Epic Fury. Remember, when Iran attacked Israel, they took 12 American hostages. That is an act of war. They took hostages. Just to be clear, for the isolationists that say, let them take our hostages and then do nothing.
And at the end there, you heard him implore the citizens on the ground that this is your time. This is the time to rise up. You know, a number of Iranians on the ground have reported getting text messages that say, help is here. In other words, following up on the help is on the way, a message that he sent a number of weeks ago. I think there are real questions about, you know, how long this goes, what it looks like, but it is overwhelming force. And one thing that really strikes you is that this happened in daylight. This was not under the cover of darkness. This was not overnight at 3 a.m. their time. This was when the sun was up. So there is a confidence in this military that they have the ability to take targets out indiscriminately.
And remember, we set this up for weeks. We put all our more hardware over there than any other incursion we've ever been in. They've got that Gerald Ford, the new commissioned battle, ocean battle station. It's basically singularly capable of taking out an entire country. It's got enough nuclear missiles, weaponry. It's got the discombobulator that can knock the power out of any country. It may have that sonic weapon that we used in Venezuela that victims of that sonic weapon claimed their ears started bleeding and they got nauseated when they got zapped by it. Okay, what's this here? What do I have here? Here we go. I'm just trying to get a lot of different perspectives. This is from Shanaka Anselm Pereira. Iran just fired missiles at 5 countries simultaneously. Let me check what time this is at, because there's some video too. Here, I'll show you the video first. This is at 4:43 a.m. Indiscriminate missile firing by Iran, spraying them into other countries. Okay. This says Iran just fired missiles into 5 countries simultaneously. So they're just emptying. This is just a desperate spraying of missiles. This isn't tactical. Here's what actually happened to each of them. In Bahrain, confirmed hit on the U.S. Navy 5th Fleet headquarters. Bahrain's own state news agency reported the strike. No casualty figures released yet. This is the command center of every American naval operation in the Persian Gulf. It was struck. Now, guys, I don't have a confirmation on this. And remember what I reported earlier. Iran sent out thousands of bots when they were hit over the last 24 hours that X has been removing. So the X didn't remove this. I assume this guy is a real media guy. So he has a lot of credibility with me, but I just, got to be careful. So be careful as I report this. The United Arab Emirates, multiple missiles intercepted by Emirati air defenses. 1 civilian killed in Abu Dhabi from falling debris. The UAE Defense Military confirmed the intercepts. The Emirates just absorbed an act of war on its sovereign territory from a country it shares a maritime border with. Qatar, missile intercepted, 0 damage. The Qatari Interior Ministry confirmed. The same country Iran just attacked is the country that hosted Al Udeid for 20 years as a gesture of regional balance. That balance ended this morning. So Qatar, which has been anti-Israel, and that's the biggest fear. The reason why they don't want this to look like Israel against Iran is they don't want every other Muslim-influenced country to suddenly jump in on the side of Iran. That's what Iran's been able to count on for 40 years, is the mutual hatred of Israel unites everyone. And it looks like Qatar just took out a missile. Kuwait, who's always been on our side. Kuna, Kuwaiti state news agency, confirmed missiles were dealt with in Kuwaiti airspace. No reported damage. Kuwait, which stayed neutral through every Gulf crisis since 1991, just had Iranian ballistic missiles flying over its cities. So Iran knows if you're not for them, you're against them. And they start showering you with bullets. Jordan, hey, I was just there. 2 Iranian ballistic missiles shot down by Jordanian military. I put my feet in the Jordan just 2 weeks ago. My feet were in the Jordan. And I saw this wonderful black man from Africa who was dunking himself in the Jordan, washing himself 7 times. he went underwater and came up 7 times. My brother, he called me, and he gave me, I don't know if I have it here, but he gave me a sticker that said, I love Jesus, and he has a ministry. Very thick accent. And then I was reading him, because I do my daily reading in the Bible, in 2 Kings, and King Naaman, who had very bad leprosy, was told by Elisha to go wash himself in the Jordan 7 times and he'd be cleaned. And that's what that black man was doing in the Jordan. A lot of history. Worried about native public opinion from this war to cause us to lose the House and Senate in the midterms. Well, you guys already know the Democrats do not care about this war. They care about holding on to power. So if they can use this war to cause Republicans to lose the House in midterms, you already know what side they'll take whatever side it takes to get power. They're going to try to impeach Trump. They're going to try him with war crimes. They're going to work with their buddies at the UN to try Trump with war crimes. And Trump we're going to find out how much power he has, because he'll push right back and say, America won't go for it. And then America responds. And if America's dumb, then we will put an X next to a Democrat. And we deserve what comes, guys. If we put Kamala Harris in office and this country would have fallen hard, I'd be thrown in prison for free speech. We deserve, in America, because of who we vote for, you deserve everything you get. Futures, it's in God's hands, but God works through his sovereign will. He works through the American people's vote to pick our leaders. Jordan, 2 Iranian ballistic missiles shot down by Jordanian military, confirmed by the Jordanian army forces directly. Jordan intercepted Iranian missiles in June of 2025 as well. That was in defense of Israel. This time, Iran targeted Jordan itself. Saudi Arabia, they also sprayed. Fars News, F-A-R-S, Fars News claims strikes. No confirmation from any Saudi source. No tier 1 or tier 2 verification. Either it did not happen or Riyadh is not yet ready to say it did. Both possibilities carry enormous implications. I see a new future for the Middle East with Trump allying us against radical Islam. This is great. All good potential. You guys know it's not sunshine and roses when you're dealing with war. Who knows what happens, but it's not always bad. Sometimes it's good. We went to war in World War II. Germany and Japan went from trying to destroy the world to being 2 of our closest allies. That's pretty good. Now understand what Iran just accomplished strategically. In attempting to retaliate against Israel and America, the Iranian fired missiles at 6 sovereign nations in a single morning. Not one of those nations attacked Iran. Bahrain did not bomb Tehran. The United Arab Emirates did not launch strikes on Isfahan. Qatar hosted diplomatic back channels. That's one way of putting it. Qatar hosted diplomatic back channels. All the people that organized the Hamas terrorist act on October 7th were staying in Qatar. Kuwait maintained neutrality for 3 decades. Jordan was mediating. Iran just converted every neutral and semi-neutral state in the Gulf into a potential co-belligerent. Every nation whose airspace was violated, whose civilians were killed, whose sovereignty was breached, now has legal and political justification to join whatever coalition forms next. So this could be a uniting feature of the West. And the damage tells the real story. 1 civilian dead from debris. That was in United Arab Emirates. The debris fell on him. Intercepts across 4 countries. No confirmed destruction of any U.S. military asset. No reported American casualties among 40,000 troops in theater. Pray for our troops. Iran fired at the entire Gulf, and the Gulf caught almost everything. Compare this to what Israel did to Tehran this morning, precision strikes on the IRGC Intelligence Directorate. Explosions near the Supreme Leader's office, and I already showed you guys that headline from the Daily Mail. They believe the Ayatollah is dead. They shot his headquarters. They believe he's dead. We don't know. We'll see. 3 detonations in central Tehran confirmed by Iranian state media itself. One side hit what it aimed at. The other side hit one civilian with debris. So the good guys hit all military assets in Iran. We took out the regime. All good guys took them out. Iran sprayed missiles into 5 neutral countries, 5 sovereign countries, only took out 1 civilian. This is the asymmetry that will define the next 72 hours. Iran demonstrated intent to strike everywhere and capability to hit almost nothing. The Gulf states demonstrated they can defend themselves. And now those states must decide whether the country that just fired ballistic missiles across their borders gets to do it again. They will not let it happen again. Watch for the joint statement. Watch for airspace coordination between Riyadh, Abu Dhabi, Manama, and Kuwait City. I don't know what Manama is. Manama? I never heard that name. And Kuwait City. Watch for the coalition that Iran just built against itself with a single salvo. So Iran is going to, like it's like in Lord of the Rings where they go, our list of allies runs thin, Elrond told Gandalf. Our list of allies runs thin. Iran's list of allies just got really short in 24 hours. They did the wrong thing. They made a big boo-boo. They assume all these Muslim countries are just going to automatically turn on the Jews and America, little Satan. Iran did not retaliate against Israel this morning. Iran gave every country in the Middle East a reason to retaliate against Iran. That is some good chess, my friends, and that is some brilliant analysis by Shanaka Anselm Perea. He gets a follow from me. What do you guys think? I will continue with the news. We're going to keep going. We have 3,000 people watching. Give us a thumbs up if you haven't subscribed. By the way, I believe I have it set so that only subscribers can comment. So I'm trying to keep the spammers, and a lot of people will just come in and just drop, they'll try and spam and get you to buy crypto and stuff like that. That all goes away when you have to subscribe. And I love my audience. My audience has earned the right to speak and have any opinion on this war that they want, for or against. If you watch this show and you're a regular watcher, you're allowed to have your opinion. I'm here to give you facts, and I'm always trying to sway the audience. You guys know my bias. My bias is I'm in full support of Trump. Trump brought us to this dance, and I'm loyal to him as my president. He brought us to this dance. He spared us, President Kamala Harris. That's my bias. And my other bias, as you guys know, never put an X next to a Democrat. The Democrat Party is anti-American, anti-person, anti-family. It's not just neutrally bad or two sides of the same coin. It's an evil party. I want them destroyed. I don't want them to ever be voted for again or talked about in polite conversation where people go, you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat. New member, look at that. We got memberships open. The link's in the description. But I continue. Let's do this one. This is a news article. I'm still doing backfill on this. Here we go. U.S. launch attack on Iran as Trump announces major combat operations. Here on the right, this is some of that Israel releases video of airstrikes in Iran. I wanted to show you guys this footage of the airstrikes. This is, it's all black and white. See if I.
There's an international.
Oh no, there's a
travel plan
commercial.
Spectrum that was an additional $10
I
a
have to
month,
watch
as
a
opposed to
commercial.
paying a ridiculous amount per
Okay.
day for roaming fees. This literally felt like
Why?
my phone carrier was reaching their hand into my wallet and just helping themselves to some of my cash. I like having no surprises when it comes to my.
Yeah, I like having
And
no
with
commercials
Spectrum,
on
that's
my
been the
show.
case. So
You guys already watch enough. Hey, if we're going to do a commercial, look, here's Chapter. Call 631-961-8696. That's the people that actually sponsor this show. Call Chapter at 631-961-8696 because you're probably in the wrong Medicare plan. That's one thing I know with my audience. Most of you are in the wrong Medicare plan. And get help from Chapter to navigate a better deal. 631-961-8696. Link in the description. There, that's my commercial. How's that? Take that. We saved my audience $1 million last year. I'm trying to get $10 million saved by you guys. I know it's not a big deal. You're going like, I got it covered, Doug. Never mind. Well, some of you have said that you've saved $3,000 because you called Chapter. $3,000. I like ignoring things too, but I also like saving $3,000. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Here, I'll do a Fox News feed here. Let me share the screen here.
The country. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, declaring a special state of emergency across the country. Just moments ago, air raid sirens were sounding here in Israel's second largest city of Tel Aviv and across major population centers here in the Middle East, warning civilians to stay close to protected areas.
That's Tel Aviv. I was just there in Israel, guys. Last week, I was there for 10 days with the beloved Miss Tenaple. We were traipsing all over this place. They barely opened the window for tourism because our church has been trying to go there for 2 years. They opened it up. We went there for 10 days. And now they closed it again. It's done. You're not going to be able to tour Israel for a while. So I got in there in the window and I met the nicest Muslims, Christians, and Jews. I would say the least nice of them all were the Jews because the Jews, the Orthodox, they don't even make eye contact. But I met people from all around. In fact, people from this audience recognized me there. We were at all the holy sites and you came up and talked to me and we had just a great time. Now, look, here's a Jew is yucky guy. Come on. What do you mean Jew is yucky? What the F? What's wrong? I'm sorry. What's wrong with you? Jew is yucky. Really? Are you so programmed? Welcome to Doug in Exile. Subscribe. I'm here to deprogram you. I'm going to save your life. Open your mind. Come with me. Come with me.
Bomb shelters, understanding that in the minutes and hours ahead, Israel may come under direct Iranian attack. We are getting a new statement from Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz. He says, in part, the state of Israel has launched a preemptive strike against Iran. Defense Minister Israel Katz declares a special and immediate state of emergency across the entire country. The state of Israel has launched a preemptive strike against Iran to remove threats to the state of Israel. As a result, a missile and UAV drone attack is expected against the state of Israel and its civilian population in the immediate time frame. Remember, there has been an ongoing U.S. military buildup across the region for the past 2 months. The world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, is now just off the coast of Israel, near to the northern city of Haifa. You have the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group in the Arabian Sea, a variety of U.S. destroyers in locations across the region. And of course, U.S. fighter jets, not only here in Israel, but also in places like Jordan. You heard just last night President Trump talking about what he prefers, a peaceful and diplomatic path that was offered to the Iranians, understanding, though, that they have been incredibly difficult in the past to reach agreements with. And while the president sent his negotiators to the region, to Oman, and then ultimately to Geneva, Switzerland over the past month, both U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner, ultimately the coordination was happening at the highest level, we understand, between the Americans and the Israelis if a decision was made to launch such a strike. And so
that's all the back data. We dotted all the I's, crossed all our T's, got permission beforehand. Here's more. Let's see here. No, that's all I got. Let me find more. Let me find you guys more. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? This is something that's fun that I like doing. I go to Google. I'm going to show you guys, share this. What I do is I just put the words Iran in and see what Google is feeding us. So this is media, what sort of the woke Google wants you to think. Okay, it's not always bad, but I just like, this is kind of what I study. What top stories are they pushing out to us? Here's live updates. U.S. and Israel launch attack on Iran as Trump calls for regime change. Yes. Yeah, coffee. That's the blood mist staple asking if I need anything. You don't have to even ask. I always need coffee. I need the IV. Here's live updates. U.S. and Israel attack Iran. Bigger ramifications than Venezuela, says CNBC. Yeah, no kidding. Markets brace for impact after U.S. strikes Iran. How could the U.S. strikes in Iran affect the world's oil supply? There you go. It really could free it up. Because right now the Iranian regime is trying to only get oil to Russia. And then remember, they were supposed to be embargoed. You weren't supposed to be able to buy it. And India was going behind our backs and buying Iranian oil, which helps fund the bad guys. Well, now if you open that oil up to an open market to the West and we remove our embargoes on Iran, that'll be conditional. If the people rise up and they do good, then we will buy their oil, right? And help them. So I think it actually could bring the price down long run. Live updates. U.S. and Israel attack Iran and Tehran retaliates. U.S. and Iran carry out joint attack. U.S. and Iran, I think they're emphasizing the U.S. and Iran and not just U.S. is what I think. I think they're trying to get this to look like the Jews did it all, and we had nothing to do with it, including bringing up Kushner, his son-in-law, implying that just because Kushner married Ivanka is why we're at war and we're doing the will of the Israelis. That is usually about as deep as the message gets, for the most part. Okay, here we go. I got more here on Twitter. Reports are that the Houthis are planning to restart their attacks on ships passing through the Straits of Hormuz. That would be a big mistake. This is a 2-minute clip by Fox News.
General, what is the military strategic benefit from starting the campaign in the morning, in daylight?
What we've been trying to achieve here is a degree of tactical surprise. In a sense, certainly the negotiations help to achieve some of that. And some other posturing that has been going on. Some of this has been by design. Some of it has been reality. The tactical surprise that we're seeking is not necessarily to take down a missile storage site, but to kill leaders. That was what we were trying to achieve. In other words, you go after the leaders before you even go after the air defense systems that would protect the pilots. And they were likely using standoff weapon systems off the coast of Iran to go after those leaders. The intelligence we have on those leaders is exquisite.
Thank you.
Can't get into the details of it. And hopefully we were able to accomplish most of that in doing it. It's impossible, obviously, to get all the leaders that we're targeting. And obviously, this operation leaked somehow because media was all over it all last night and yesterday afternoon. And that is unfortunate. And hopefully that didn't give some of these leaders the opportunity to get to an alternate site.
Okay, that's the great General Jack Kane. I'll finish that clip in a second. How do you guys think this got leaked last night? How did this get leaked last night? Remember I said yesterday, before this strike happened, I think it was 8 hours before this strike happened, Iran released all those bots on X to start influencing people. And X knocked down 99% of those fake paid accounts and stopped them. But there was a huge spike. I showed you that graphic earlier. And so they knew they had to start sculpting people to oppose Israel, get all the peaceniks to go after Trump and say this is a preemptive war. That triggered Thomas Massey. How did the word get out that the strikes were about to go? Someone in the military, this is under Pete Hegseth, someone ratted us out. And remember earlier this week, the guy that said we were going in to attack on Monday or Tuesday, and he said he had inside intelligence. That was, he had fake news, and I called him out on it, and it was fake. He was wrong. And he also said that Trump was going into Iran to cover up for the botched UFO releasing of UFO documents. There is some truly dumb commentary. And what I felt bad about is 3 of my audience member defended him and attacked me and said, Doug, you're wrong. You need to listen to that guy. I'm like, oh no, guys. They're trying to sculpt your attention on conspiracies and anti-America stuff. By the way, this is the biggest one right here. Obama, we're coming for you. You funded these terrorists, treasonous. That's true. Remember, Obama sent them pallets of money. That's how he negotiated war with Iran. He and Biden, they bent over and over and allowed them to have nuclear weapons. Trump came in, remember, in last summer, blew everything up, and now cleaning up the regime. This is how Trump does it, and you get different results. Respect, healing, freedom.
General, you haven't talked about any naval operation. And what about the Strait of Hormuz? That's what they said they're going to try to shut down. There's a fear they'll try to mine. We also got a report about 90 minutes ago. The Houthis made it clear they're going to start attacking us and starting tapping ships and Israel.
Yeah, I left out the naval piece is important. We're taking down their naval infrastructure. So
okay. He's talking about the Straits of Hormuz. That's where all of the fuel is run in and out of the Middle East. That's how you control the entire world's oil, is through the Straits of Hormuz. So the Houthis, they were just randomly firing at our ships because they're idiots and primitives, and we would just take them out with our military. But they're going in and out of the Straits of Hormuz. They've just now declared, after the strike on Iran, that they're going to continue to fire on ships in the Straits of Hormuz. They're all going to die. Not our ships, their ships. The Houthis are going to get wiped out if that's true. Yeah, this is the problem with consulting Congress. $5 super chat. I got an idea. Let's consult with Congress in advance so they can leak our troop positions and plans. That's right. That is the biggest reason against giving the powers of war to Congress is you have to go and vote in public. And then your enemies can see it. But guys, that's the form of our government. And I think it's pretty clear in our Constitution that that was intended for how America would work, was that the president could not unilaterally declare war. They just felt like that was too much power in the executive, and that was no bueno. So I'm willing to say that it's anti-constitutional what Trump did. I'm also willing to say it is a profound good to save Iran, and that's what Trump is doing. I think Trump has always cared more about the good than the Constitution. I would not call him like a constitutional scholar or anything. So that's my opinion on the whole thing. And the main thing is, you know, this is going to be in flux. You're going to hear all this news all day. I just wanted to give you guys kind of there's big picture overview stuff that I'm more interested in. This is the modern Democrat Party is corrupt and evil. I know, we already know what their position is going to be on this war. They're the opposition party. They think they can get a win from an election on this. I'm going to show you this clip in a second, but here's 200, whatever that is. I don't know what that increment is. Iranian here. It must be Iranian, whatever that form of money is. An Iranian here. Neverhood. Now, this touches my heart, guys. Okay, the Iranian people played my video game, The Neverhood, in the mid-90s. So I have a huge Iranian fan base. As Dell computers were shipped to Iran, every Dell computer had a copy of my video game that I did. Steven Spielberg funded it. Bill Gates funded it. Jeffrey Katzenberg funded it. It's all clay animation. I did clay animation. I created the characters. It was my first, I had a video game company. Iranian here, The Neverhood has been a big part of my childhood. Now seeing you reporting on Iran and being truthful and based about it makes me so happy. Free Iran, Javid Shah, the Shah. Bring back the Shah. We love the Shah. I appreciate that, sir. That's very kind of you. I love the idea of making people around the world smile with entertainment. It's not, you know, this is before I did politics. There is a creation narrative in the Neverhood. But, you know, I serve people. I entertain people. I'm an entertainer. A mass media entertainer. Means I want to entertain the masses. And we're going to talk about Operation Epic Fury. And I'm entertained by how pathetic the Democrats are, because they also must be wiped out because they hate freedom, hate families, they hate America.
Background. Are you pleased with the objectives?
My feeling today is that I'm very glad that President Trump won and Kamala Harris lost.
Amen. Lindsey Graham with some truth. Might be the first time you ever told the truth. God is good. We were spared Kamala Harris, guys. If you don't have a smile on your face right now, especially when the whole world melts, when everything's going down, you just got to imagine what would happen if Kamala Harris did a military strike on Iran or had to go and negotiate with them. What a dingbat we've been spared.
I don't try to be political at moments like this, but I'm responding to the senator from Arizona who took a shot at this operation. Yep. Unfortunately, the modern Democratic Party is pathetic in the face of evil. Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, they embrace deals that make no sense. The difference between Donald Trump and our Democratic colleagues, he's common sense. He understands the world. I've been talking to him continuously for days and weeks. He's of the mindset that the Ayatollah is Hitler in a robe wearing a turban, that he's not capable of changing his ways. He reached out to him to test to see if he would. Donald Trump does not get us entangled in forever wars, but he sure as hell stands up to the bad guys and he makes us safer. This is the most consequential decision any president's made since 1979 because of President Trump's understanding of the evil nature of this regime. He has set in motion its demise. This military operation is overwhelming. It will bring this regime down. President Trump called on the Iranian people to seize the moment. I believe they will.
Thank God. Thank God. The Iranian people are going to be freed. That's Lindsey Graham. They call him Lindsey Graham-nesty. Enemy within the Republican Party gets it right. Everyone despises Lindsey Graham, but you know, when he's right, is how I see it. I do not just oppose what he says just because it's coming out of Lindsey Graham's mouth. In other words, how's that? Does that make sense? And likewise, you know, John Fetterman is a Democrat getting it right. So it's not just about parties. Okay, I'm going to show you an amazing piece of footage of our military here. This one is nuts, guys. This is aerial acrobatics. Are you ready for this? Look at this. So, missile on the left, missile on the right, and one of our planes, might be Israeli, but it might be one of ours, in the air on that little speck. See that? You're trying to hit it and you're maneuvering. I'm going to start it again. Oh, no. This is coming in. That's modern warfare. They're trying to shoot it out of the sky. That looks like AI. I don't know if that's real or not, guys. I just can't. These days, you can't tell. I have no idea. I'm just going. I don't think the camera would happen to be close up on an airplane as a missile came out of it. That's too lucky. Iranian women are literally removing their hijabs and dancing in the middle of Tehran. Two crimes of this Islamic regime: to remove your hijab and to dance. They've been longing for freedom for decades. Can anyone explain why Western leftists, that's the Democrats, and feminists, who claim to care about women's rights, are against liberating them? Dancing in the streets, taking off their hijab. Meanwhile, you have Ilhan Omar in America wearing a hijab. Love it. I love it. I love it. I got to find another clip because I saw earlier when they shot the Ayatollah's headquarters, women were looking at the footage and they were cheering, like crying, cheering. They were so happy to see it. This is the liberation of the Iranian people. The women had it bad under the Ayatollah, but I think everyone had it bad under the Ayatollah. Iran FM claims top Iranian leaders Khomeini are alive. All high-ranking officials are alive. Everything is fine. Now, you guys remember Baghdad Bob in the war with Iraq? You can't believe everything they say. Okay, let me find this clip for you because this is a little propaganda here. I don't know that it's true or false. I'm only saying Iran is saying that these guys are all alive. So we'll watch their news.
As far as I know, yes, they are alive. And the head of judiciary as well, the head of the Speaker of Parliament as well, all high-ranking officials are alive, and the secretary of the National Security Council. So everybody is now in its position, and we are handling this situation, and everything is fine.
Everyone's alive. Everything is fine. Chat, do you believe it? After what I just told you about Israeli forces and all of America's military is over there doing a strike overnight. And they're saying everything is fine and all of their leadership is alive. You guys are saying overwhelmingly, no, he's toast. No. Liar. No. Not for a second. I believe nothing. Yeah, I don't believe him either. How would he know? Did they all check in last night? How would he know? There's no way. So the giant there's often said that like you can't trust anything in the news as soon as a war begins. This one's interesting. Ooh, from a guy that I follow. Let me show you this real quick. This is from Jim Ferguson. The USS Gerald Ford goes dark, in quotes. So people are tracking our military vehicles online. One of America's most powerful warships disappears from public tracking. The USS Gerald Ford, the most advanced aircraft carrier on Earth, is no longer visible on open source tracking systems. I think it can go invisible. This is our most advanced aircraft carrier. When carriers go silent, it usually means one thing. You know, if it was bombed, if it was blown up and at the bottom of the sea, it would not go invisible. You'd still be able to track it. In fact, it would probably lose its ability to go invisible. It means one thing, operational mode. It goes into operational mode. Guys, this is a floating fortress capable of taking out a country by itself, the Gerald Ford. A nuclear-powered supercarrier does not need to broadcast its position. It moves when and where it chooses with overwhelming force behind it. If the Ford Strike Group is repositioning for combat operations, the strategic message is unmistakable. The world's most powerful Navy is preparing. Watch closely. There's one of our AWAC. Those are those low-flying radar satellites. The hardware out there is just insane, guys, that we have. Like I said, I've mentioned it a bunch. My son is in boot camp right now on Parris Island to be a Marine. He has written us letters. We got 2 letters. We got a letter from his drill instructor yesterday saying, we're working him hard. We're crafting him into a warrior. That's what they said. Now, this is all wars are a giant propaganda campaign, guys. Here's Marjorie Taylor Green. What do you think she's going to say? I've already called her out, being anti-Trump, anti-Trump's success. Here's Marjorie Taylor Green's official account. I did not campaign for this. Well, you quit. You stepped down January 5th. I did not donate money for this. I did not vote for this in elections for Congress. This is heartbreaking and tragic. Wait, women dancing in the streets, removing their hijab, a fellow woman. Many women victims of clitoridectomies from when they're 13 years old. That's heartbreaking and tragic. Okay. And how many more innocent lives will die? What about our own military? This is not what we thought MAGA was supposed to be. Shame. Shame on you. Shame on me. That's shame on Trump, Marjorie Taylor Green says. You're in the, I've said this to Democrat John Fetterman, you're in the wrong party. I say this to Marjorie Taylor Green, you're in the wrong party, okay? Here's breaking. Now, this is the Global Eye News, so this is going to be Iranian, the regime's propaganda. They're going to just go nuts on the civilian casualties. And I do have a responsibility to tell you, I'm going to give you their point of view. Breaking. 51 Iranian children killed. 51. 60 students wounded after joint U.S.-Israel strikes hit girls' school in Iran. All I want to ask my audience is, because this is something that Tucker Carlson has said. And by the way, when I was in Israel, many of the anti-Israeli Arabs said this. Israel targets schools and hospitals. Is that true? That's what I want to know. Is Israeli and now the USA, are we war criminals? It reminds me of the Epstein files where that fake testimony said that Trump pushed a 13-year-old's head down on him and then punched her in the face. Does that sound like Trump to you? Does Trump, when he's abusing a 13-year-old girl, does that sound like Trump? Does he punch a 13-year-old girl in the face? That's what I want to know. Is it in Israel's values and in America's values to target children in a school? Is that what our military does? That's what Marjorie Taylor Green says. That's what the anti-Israeli people say. That's what the Democrats say. That's what the people waving the Palestinian flag on our campuses that are saying from the river and the sea, it's a genocidal statement against the Jews. They say we target children in schools. Here's the footage. Smoking building and people going screaming. Okay, here's one of you. Oh man, again, I let you guys speak, but I believe you're wrong. Yes, fake Israel does. They are the synagogue of Satan. Two-horned beast. Trump is excellent. Fake Israel is not. Do not be deceived. How can Trump be good when he's allied with Israel? I want to ask you. This is a real tough one to split in your head. Make it make sense. Trump says we're Israel's #1 ally. So Trump has said that he's the ally of what? The synagogue of Satan? Is that what you think? Trump is the ally of the synagogue of Satan? Now, I believe this is all propaganda. I'm going to share my feed here. So this is the Globe Eye News, breaking 51 children. This is the one that Marjorie Taylor Green just posted, but I'm going to go down and show you something. Here's Street Parliament. These are all propaganda footage of the same clip. It's Al Jazeera, Reuters, Iranian. This is the Iranian government is putting this video out, guys. That's what Grok says. It's the Iranian government. Report, a U.S.-Israel strike hit Shajira Tayyebe Girls' School in Minab, southern Iran today. Death toll of the school, 40 to 51 children wounded. And figures rising. Part of broader strikes on Iran. The video shows rubble crowd of a damaged site matching descriptions. Look, same footage here. This is a massive campaign, propaganda campaign, showing the Iran army saying there's no injuries and saying the only thing that that they've shot Look, here's a no war with Iran t-shirt. There's the footage again. This is a lie, she's saying to Community Notes. Was there a weapons storage facility or nuclear weapons cache hidden underneath it? Yeah. How do we know it's not friendly fire? How do we know that Iran didn't shoot their own people? This is a $100 super chat. IRGC has a long history of self-sabotage, the Iranian regime. They shot down a civilian airliner in 2020 and claimed it was the cause of the U.S. So that's all I can say is, does it make sense to you guys? Do we target civilians? Why you have to think that Israel are evil, blood libel, vampires that make matzah with the blood of children? You have to believe all this stuff. You know what I mean? And there's a massive campaign online right now to make Trump into the bad guy. Let's hear from Caroline Levitt is here on Twitter. Caroline Levitt, President Trump monitored this is 38 seconds ago. President Trump monitored the situation overnight at Mar-a-Lago alongside members of his national security team. The president spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu by phone. See, they're controlling him. The Jewish space laders they're controlling the weather through chemtrails. Spoke to Netanyahu by phone. Prior to the attack, Secretary Rubio called all members of the Gang of Eight to provide congressional notification. And he was able to reach and brief 7 of the 8 members. So he reached out to Congress. I don't know how many of them leaked. They probably called, the Democrats probably instantly called our opponent and warned them, saying, quick, counterstrike the U.S. The president and his national security team will continue to closely monitor the situation throughout the day. That's Caroline Levitt. Excuse me. Here's that Shanaka Anselm Perea says Iran just hit a civilian airport. That's his claim. Iran did it. Not a military base, not an airfield, Kuwait International Airport, Terminal 1. So what we're seeing is Iran is shooting civilians, and then Marjorie Taylor Green says Trump and Israel are shooting children. The building where families check luggage and children walk on boarding gates, a drone struck a passenger terminal on February 28th. That's today. Kuwait's Civil Aviation Authority confirmed injuries to airport employees and material damage to the terminal. Kuna state media published it. This is not viral speculation. This is government confirming that Iranian ordnance hit the building where civilians fly. There's a word for this in international law. It's not retaliation. It's not self-defense. It is a war crime. So to target civilians, if Israel did, and America, if America targets civilians, which I don't know if we've ever done that in our history. The closest thing to it was when Britain firebombed Dresden. They believed that they had to break the will of the people. Iran's stated targets were U.S. military installations. All Salem Air Base in Kuwait hosts American forces. The base sits 60 kilometers from Kuwait International Airport. Iran hit the airport. Whether by intent or by incompetence does not matter. If by intent Iran deliberately struck civilian aviation infrastructure in a country it is not at war with, if by incompetence Iran launched weapons it cannot aim at targets, it cannot distinguish from passenger terminals. Both explanations end in the same place. Iranian ordnance hit a building of civilian workers in a sovereign nation that did not attack Iran. Count the countries Iran struck in a single morning: Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, and Jordan. Missiles and drones fired at 6 sovereign nations simultaneous. That is what Iran did. So here's footage of that airport. There's smoke. It's all full of smoke. That's just a civilian cell phone. I don't see any casualties. Here's Iranian ordnance slamming into a hotel in Dubai. Pray for those on the ground. Now, this was the one where the debris from this hit went down and killed 1 civilian. That was the only known casualty, was a civilian casualty. It was 1 hit accidentally by falling debris from this hotel in Dubai. Holy stuff. See that? That is terrifying. Right out the window. That's in Dubai. Dubai did not shoot anyone, right? Dubai shot no one. Let me find some more here. Here's China's oil lifeline is about to collapse. The U.S. and Israel struck Iran, but the real shockwave will hit Beijing. This isn't just another Middle East escalation. Iran is the backbone of China's West Asia strategy: discounted oil, yuan settlements, sanctions evasion, and a critical belt and road anchor. Now missiles have crossed Gulf airspace. Dubai has shut down, and regional alignment is shifting fast. That is, the bad guys are joining the good guys, I believe. They're seeing who's going to win this thing. And the surrounding countries that are normally anti-Israel, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, are going to join Israel and America. If Iran destabilizes, China loses a sanctioned oil lifeline and a key geopolitical pillar. If the Straits of Hormuz closes, the energy shock hits Beijing hard. This is similar to our strike in Venezuela. China was trying to keep that pathway open for them, and we put Maduro in prison. Shut that down. This footage of that hit was from the Palm Hotel and Resort in Dubai. And that had 1 civilian casualty from falling debris. The Fairmont Hotel in Dubai is on fire after Iran launched missiles toward multiple Gulf nations. So this is the Fairmont Hotel in Dubai. And Dubai is where all the money is. Pro-Western, pro-West. Iran general from Brandon Straka, one of our J6 boys. Iran General Sadar Jabari says the missiles fired so far are outdated and warns, soon we will unveil weapons you have never seen before. There he is on TV. Al Jazeera always carrying their water. Now, Mark Levin is so pro-Israel, I can barely even watch him, but it's fair. He is just going to be way anti-Iran and way pro-Israel. But I have to show his clip. We're going to get all points of view on my show for the news, guys. This is part of the panoply, the cornucopia that I give you.
There's a point at which you need to defend our country, defend our allies. And when you see a regime slaughtering tens of thousands of young people, shooting them in the street.
True.
If you have any conscience whatsoever, any morality whatsoever, and you're able to do something about it because they're in the weakest position they've ever been, right, to sit still there at a time like that is utterly and completely unconscionable. We are on a righteous mission. We have a righteous president. We have a real leader. This is what a real leader looks like.
Mark Levin is thrilled today. I trust Mark Levin. I really like him a lot. That's my position on it. Here's Rand Paul. Here come the isolationists, the libertarians. As yet another preemptive war. Well, first of all, Peter Schiff reposted this. He's the chief economist and global strategist at Europac, chairman. Schiff Gold, founder. So he's a gold guy. Schiff Sovereign, host, best-selling author, Schiff Radio. Reposted Rand Paul. So these are the libertarians. As yet another preemptive war has begun in the Middle East, says Rand Paul. John Quincy Adams's words of wisdom still ring true. Wherever the standard of freedom and independence has been or shall be unfurled, there will her heart, her benedictions, and her prayers be. So that's supportive. Freedom. Like most Americans, I have sympathy for the plight of the Iranian people, true, and all subjected people around the globe, from North Korea to Tibet, true. But as Adams wrote, America goes not abroad in search of monsters to destroy. So now he takes it back with the other hand. America goes not abroad in search of monsters to destroy. I don't know. I'm not an isolationist. Especially Adams. This is my beef against Adams and Ron Paul. Let me see if I can convince you guys. Adams wrote this about not going overseas to find monsters in search way off in distant lands, some dragon way over on some other continent. That was before there was such a thing as an intercontinental ballistic missile. He wasn't dealing with a monster over in another country that couldn't hit us from afar. Before nuclear warheads, now you have satellites in space that can shoot energy weapons down on us. The monster, this is where I disagree with isolationists. They pretend there's no such thing as technology. They're still quoting stuff. What would Adams say if a monster on the other side of the planet could easily hit us? Or through asymmetrical terror. We went after the Barbary pirates for making it our seas unsafe to trade and traverse. That was one of the first things our country did when it got together. Went after the radical Muslim pirates. So I disagree with Rand Paul. I don't think he's aware that this does not apply today, that you can just sit in your turtle shell defensively in America. We know already that Iran tried to assassinate President Trump 2 years ago. Or it might have been 1 year ago, an assassination attempt. And they failed. So they can hit us. And they say death to America. They target our allies. They target us. We know that they have sent through our open borders. You guys are saying this. There's many cells, terror cells here in America. Their people are here. So I got to fight back a little bit on Rand Paul. I don't think he's as unhinged as Thomas Massie, and that's why Trump doesn't go after Rand Paul as hard. But we'll continue. America goes not abroad in search of monsters to destroy. She is a well-wisher to the freedom and independence of all. You know what? Keep your wishes. I don't care what you wish. Well, I wish you well. Good luck, everybody. Good luck, Germany. Good luck, everybody. She's a champion and a vindicator only of her own people. This is what Marjorie Taylor Greene's talking about when she says, I didn't fund this, I didn't vote for this. I think it's reasonable to say we should not be overly entangled. But look, we've been fighting Iran by proxy, this regime, this radical Islamic regime, for 40 years. And in a way, we started it with Jimmy Carter, deposing the Shah, installing an Ayatollah that we thought would be better. You break it, you buy it. The Constitution conferred the power to declare or initiate war to Congress for a reason: to make war less likely. I agree with that. But hey, every constitutionalist is also a hypocrite, because we went to war and we stole this country from Britain and the Indians, and it's because we won. You know what? This is what bugs me. You can't name one country in the entire history of every country, everywhere, every single country. Do you know what it means? Someone won. You won. You took it. You took it and you won. Doesn't make you right. It means you won. Every country, including this country. We stood for a DNA and a code, and you have to fight for it. You have to grind up your 22-year-old, your young men in battle to secure liberty. I don't like that this is all, people pretend like we wrote a constitution and the country was done. That constitution would be worthless without war. So, sorry if I sound like a warmonger. Madison wrote, and I love Madison, he's my favorite founder, wrote that the executive branch is the branch most prone to war. Therefore, the Constitution, with studied care, delegated the war power to the legislature. As with all war, my first purest instinct is wish American soldiers safety and success in their mission. Thank you, Rand Paul. We'll take that. So he is still rooting for our soldiers. He's not hoping our soldiers lose. I think that's the difference between Rand Paul, a mere isolationist, and a Democrat. I think Democrats want us to lose. But my oath of office is to the Constitution. So with studied care, I must oppose another presidential war. Here's my buddy Razor Fist. Says, was it preemptive war when Iran declared war on us? Because they did. True. Iran declared war on us. And Trump is doing an emergency response. I think there's a lot of reasons why we go to war. Let's do this one. More footage here. Breaking reports are emerging from Iranian state media claiming IRGC hypersonic missiles have been launched toward the U.S. aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln. We're going to blow those out of the sky and then drop massive ordnance on wherever it was launched from. If true, this would mark a historic escalation, a direct strike attempt on a U.S. supercarrier, one of the most heavily defended military assets on Earth. I don't know if Iran's that dumb. But as of now, there's no independent confirmation from U.S. officials or international sources. So you can see a lot of this is just rumor, guys. In moments like this, the fog of war is thick. Information becomes a weapon. Narratives move faster than the missiles. That is true. That's why we have to keep our mind open. I'm going to try and pull all these facts in or all these reports in, and then in hindsight, we'll find out which ones are real, which ones are true. But there's, they say the first casualty of war is the truth, because both sides will say whatever it takes to win. Anyone's willing to lie to win a war, both sides. You have to win the war. You have to do a massive media campaign. So I'm reminding you guys to keep your mind open, and I'm presenting you with stuff that's just going out over the internet. And somewhere amidst all that, because the truth also gets out, somewhere out there's the truth. There are real people reporting real facts. You just got to wade through a lot of who knows what. What we do know is this: tensions in the region are reaching a dangerous threshold, and the world is watching for the next signal: retaliation, denial, or confirmation. If a carrier has been targeted, the consequences would reshape the geopolitical landscape overnight. Stand by. Actually, if they shot at one of our carriers, they would be instantly dead and gone, okay? Here's Iranian school students are thanking President Trump for striking the regime in Iran. I love Trump, one student says. Now, I will confirm this: when I was in Israel, and Palestinian Muslims and Christians would come up to me and say, I love Donald Trump. Now, they did want to sell me a Jerusalem hat. So they did have something to benefit from it. But I did hear other guys. I'd go into a smoking parlor, I had a cigarette with a Arab Muslim, and he said, F Trump. I said, what do you mean by that? He goes, I don't like Trump. I go, well, I think he's the leader of the free world. Let's look at these students here on this footage. Or something, I'll let you know. Those are the youth, the streets of Iran cheering for Trump. Pretty good. Failed missiles launch in Iran caused the projectile to fall on a school. There you go. There's some color. It's entirely possible, right? So here's a missile going up, and then you can see the trail going right back down. So they're going to blame us for blowing up kids, and for all we know, it's a misfired missile. Images captured the moment it failed, fell back to the ground, and struck. The Iranians, just like the Palestinians in Gaza at the beginning of the war, immediately claimed it was a missile fired by U.S. or Israel. So that's what happens. Anytime a civilian casualty occurs, you just know to blame the other side. Here's U.S. Senator John Fetterman, committed Democrat here. I'm a hard no. My vote is Operation Epic Fury. He supports Trump. Here's Democrats demand war powers vote after U.S. strikes Iran. Is it just Democrats, or is it not also Thomas Massie and Rand Paul and Marjorie Taylor Green? It's Democrats minus John Fetterman. He's a hard no. Fetterman, dude, my brother, faithful. Democrats demand war powers vote after U.S. strikes Iran. There's my longtime friend Caleb, $10 super chat. Anchors away. I suspect backing would be to appease the isolationists, but further bankrupt our foreign markets and damage key influence in the ME and abroad. Breaking: Saudi Arabia says it now granting full airspace access to us. I was friends with a member of Saudi royalty. He was a huge Neverhood fan. He used to come and hang out with me in Glendale. Like a multi-billionaire. Great guy. Autistic. And I hung out with his family. He'd hang out with mine. He bought all my children a Nintendo DS as a gift. They had no idea. It came from Saudi royalty. But he was big Neighborhood fan. And he was very loving, very kind. What's the implications of this giving us airspace, equipment, and intelligence support, warning that if it is attacked, its airspace will be open, adding that retaliation would come only if necessary. So they don't want to be retaliators. Also allowing flights and whole mobilization from Saudi soil. So you're going to let us freely operate there. That puts all of our ordnance closer. President Trump, I don't know anything about the Epstein files. You know, I've been fully exonerated. There you go. People are still doing the Epstein files. Thank you. This is 40 minutes ago. The Iranian governor says a strike on girls' school in southern Iran has left. And this is the one where the bomb went up and allegedly was fired by Iran on their own people, and they're blaming us. Marco Rubio this week pointed out that if Iran really just wanted civilian nuclear power, like other nations, they could simply build standard above ground reactors and buy enriched fuel on the open market. They're not building power plants. They're enriching uranium. They might even be providing uranium to our enemies. Places like North Korea. Obama funded Khomeini and Iran's nuclear program that Trump is destroying. He knew exactly where those funds would go when he sent the pallets of cash and released the balance. Another Obama move against America's interests. Everything leads to Obama. True, Obama was our worst president. I mean, Biden was only worse in that he wasn't conscious. Obama was worse because he's intelligent. Here's the Dubai Palm Jumeirah is on fire tonight. Literally, the most expansive man-made luxury island ever constructed, visible from space, built grain by grain of sand over 15 years at a cost of $12 billion. Has smoke rising from its luxury hotels because Iranian ordnance detonated in its airspace. There's the footage. To my In Exile audience, thank you guys for watching. We're going to continue with the news coverage of the Iran war. If you want to chat, you got to subscribe. That's how you're able to chat. I do that to screen out a lot of the bad actors in the audience. Give us a thumbs up. There's 3,600 people simultaneously watching today, and I thank you. I welcome you to our audience. I try to make the news entertaining. I always tell you my bias. My bias is I'm pro-MAGA, pro-Republican, conservative, born-again Christian. You know my bias now. I want America to win. I want freedom to win in Iran. I support this incursion. I support this military battle as a defensive measure because Iran has declared war on us for 40 years, blown up enough of our civilians, blown up our soldiers, took 12 hostages on October 7th in 2023. Acts of war. Assassination attempt on Donald Trump, act of war. And all we said was, you have to say you will not pursue a nuclear weapon. They would not say it because they knew they'd lose power. They'd lose influence in their own country. They almost got toppled by a 2-month-long resistance of freedom fighters. Breaking. An intercepted Iranian ballistic missile just fell down on the streets in Doha, Qatar, and exploded. Many feared dead. I don't know if anyone's dead here, but you can see the missile coming down sideways and an explosion. I still don't have verification, by the way, that this is legit. I don't know what's AI and what's not. It could easily be AI. That's the warning today, just because you see it. Here's Qatar. That's something coming down from the sky.
साइड पे हो जाओ, साइड पे भागो।
Oh, that's the one that fell down in the other shot. This is real. Vicegard is a good source. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's a confirmation of the source. Thank you, sir. Abbas 332. I appreciate that. This is real. Breaking: Iran says Supreme Leader Khamenei will give a speech just hours after the U.S. and Israel targeted him in an assassination attempt. This is from 1 hour ago. Just 1 hour ago, Israeli media said the odds of Khamenei survive their airstrikes are slim to none. The world now awaits the supposed speech. That'll be interesting. Israel says his chances of surviving that bombing was slim to none. And then Iran says they're going to put him up on camera. Here's Benny Johnson from 1 hour ago. Explosions now reported in Dubai. Little poof cloud, a lot of smoke in the air. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has joined the U.S. operations against the Islamic Republic of Iran. That's Republic of Iran. That's 1 hour ago. Iranians made a big mistake by firing on Arab coalition partners. We're just getting word that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia says it will join the U.S. in the operation against the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, this is a long-time ally of ours, Saudi Arabia. They were getting closer to us and Israel in the last 10 years. And they very recently started distancing from us, and they were blaming Trump, and now they're back with us in this incursion.
Bomb, 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 Iran.
Now that's not nice. I'm not doing that. No one should be joking about this. CNN's Wolf Blitzer on Iran. It looks like this is going to escalate big time. This is 49 minutes ago.
The sirens have been going off in Israel this morning, warning people to get to shelter. And just minutes ago, the Iranian army said it launched a large-scale drone attack at the country. And missiles are flying over other Middle East countries where U.S. military bases are located. A warning for you now, the video we're about to show you is disturbing. Witnesses caught this video of the moment part of a missile fell there and exploded on a street. This is in Doha. Let's bring in now Wolf Blitzer. Wolf, a busy morning, and the Supreme Leader promised an expanded regional response if there was a strike, and we're now seeing it.
Yeah, it looks like this is going to escalate big time in the coming hours and days, for that matter. Victor, thanks very, very much. Our team has been up and gathering information since the attack started several hours ago. I want to get to CNN's Elena Treen and Zach Cohen in just a minute, but right now I want to go to CNN's Jeremy Diamond. He's on the scene for us in Tel Aviv. Set the scene over there in Tel Aviv. We know the sirens have been going off, not just in Tel Aviv, but in Haifa and Jerusalem, elsewhere in Israel as well.
That's right, Wolf. Over the course of the last 7 hours, we witnessed initially Israeli and U.S. strikes in Iran, which, as we understand it, are very much still ongoing. And that was quickly followed by Iranian retaliation. Within 2 hours of Israel announcing that it was carrying out strikes in Iran, Iran fired its first volley of ballistic missiles towards Israel, sending millions of people in this country rushing to bomb shelters, both here in Tel Aviv, but also in Jerusalem, in northern Israel, as well as in the southern part of the country as well. As of yet, I'm told by an Israeli military official that dozens of ballistic missiles have been targeting Israel, but there have been no significant hits, according to that military official. And indeed, we haven't witnessed any hits here in Tel Aviv. It appears that most of the missiles are indeed being intercepted. what we understand in terms of the strikes that the United States and Israel are carrying out in Iran, they are extraordinarily significant. And every source I've been talking to has been warning that this military operation is and will be far more severe in scope and in scale than the 12-day war between Iran and Israel, during which the United States also struck nuclear sites. And that's because here, there's not just military targets being hit, Iran's ballistic missile program, but two Israeli sources familiar with the matter are telling me that Israel also carried out strikes targeting Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, as well as several other senior Iranian figures. And so it's quite clear, and you can hear it as well in listening to the words of President Trump, that this military operation isn't just aimed at diminishing Iran's military and nuclear capabilities. It is very much aimed at creating the conditions for regime change.
Regime change, guys. I had to jump out for a second because I had to use the restroom. Because we're going. We're presenting the news. That smoldering hole right above my head. I don't mean the smoldering hole that's in my head. The smoldering hole above my head, that is Khomeini's compound of Iran's supreme leader. Israel is confident they took him out. I'm pretty confident in Israel's tech abilities in general. I don't think they conduct misinformation or disinformation when they're talking about taking out a leader. I think when Iran says the Ayatollah is alive and is going to present a speech and that all their leaders are still in place, I think they do conduct misinformation broadly. So in general, I would say the Iranian leadership is toppled. I think Israelis, when they go in and fire a missile, I don't think they blindly shoot it somewhere. I think they had, remember the pager, mass pager explosion stuff? I think their technology is superior. Yeah, the cell phones, pager one blew up. Israel does not play. Okay, let's do Tom Cotton. He's a guy I respect a lot in our military, so we're going to do some Tom Cotton here on Israel over on Fox News.
Well, Brett, I commend President Trump for making the difficult but absolutely necessary decision to join our partners in Israel to eliminate once and for all the threat that Iran's outlaw regime has posed to the United States for 47 years. Iran has been waging a campaign of terror against the United States and our friends since they took over the country in 1979. That started with holding American citizens hostage for more than a year in our embassy, blowing up the Marine barracks in Beirut in 1983, blowing up Khobar Towers barracks in Saudi Arabia, killing and maiming thousands of troops in Iraq and Afghanistan with deadly roadside bombs. We cannot allow such a regime to have a nuclear weapon. We cannot allow them to have thousands of missiles that can hit all of our bases, not just in the Middle East, but in Europe, and also one day hit us here in the United States.
Yeah, we're not going to allow them to have missiles. Oh, we have another, look, here's a F Israel. Sorry, wrong. One of our most trusted allies. This is freedom going throughout the Middle East. There's people that hate Israel so much that they actually want us to lose. Democrats, Thomas Massey. There's people that are so anti-Israel, some of them anti-Semitic. Let's do, here's some Elon Musk. To any future historians reading this era will make a lot more sense if you remember that every name is the opposite of what it really is. The anti-fascists are fascists. The anti-racists are racists. The fact-checkers are propagandists, etc. Hopefully this has been fixed by your time. And Elon Musk says, true. Remember that in this massive war campaign, that your mind is what's being fought for. your mind, is what's being fought for. I admit my bias. I'm telling you what my bias is. I'm pro-Israel. I'm pro-America. I'm pro-Trump. I'm pro-freedom. I'm pro the free people of Iran. To me, good guys and bad guys, it's pretty clear. The Ayatollah, who's made death threats, you know, death to America is their their slogan, are the bad guys. Here's a retired Special Forces intelligence operator who is on the ground fighting ISIS in Syria. One of my main goals now is reaching regular people how to build their own real situational awareness on fast-moving global conflicts. This is Eric Schwam. I want to give you the exact same tools we use to field so I can train myself out of a job. When you select Iran on a map, you want to see it isolate social media posts related to Iran from around the world. This is how people screen the universal awareness map of screening out fake news. Here's Michael Knowles over at Ben Shapiro's company. It goes without saying, but you should not believe anything you read on this platform for the next 48 hours at least. So there's a lot of disinformation going around, guys. Here is, well, this one's funny. I love humor too. I'm sorry, I'm not joking about the war or anything, but here's Scott Jennings saying, any updates from Chuck Schumer? This is June 2nd, 2025. If Taco Trump is already folding on Iran, the American people need to know about it. No side deals, he says. Here's from last June saying Trump always chickens out. And Scott Jennings is asking, are there any updates? Chuck Schumer.
When it comes to negotiating with the terrorist government of Iran, Trump's all over the lot. One day he sounds tough, the next day he's backing off. And now, all of a sudden, we find out that Witkoff and Rubio are negotiating a secret side deal with Iran. What kind of bull is this? They're going to sound tough in public and then have a side deal that lets Iran get away with everything? That's outrageous. We need to make that side deal public. Any side deal should be before Congress and, most importantly, the American people. If Taco Trump is already folding, the American public should know about it. No side deals.
Taco Trump. And Scott Jennings asked, hey, Chuck Schumer, any update on the Taco Trump thing? Democrats are liars. Now that I know. That I know. Republicans every once in a while might lie, but a Democrat, you know, is lying when their mouth is moving. Here's Laura Ingraham. Hey, Grok, they're asking Grok AI. You guys know that I've been training you guys on Grok for a long time. When other people are saying fear AI, AI is the Antichrist, AI is scary. I've been training you guys because I want good guys using this tool instead of just bad guys. Or Trump. Hey, Grok, is this video of Kuwait International Airport today? Is this the result of a missile strike? She asks. Grok says, yes, this video is from Kuwait International Airport's Terminal 1 today, February 28th, that shows smoke and chaos inside. Passenger terminal after an Iranian drone strike. Kuwait's Civil Aviation Authority and state media, Kuna, confirmed drone impact caused minor injuries to airport employees. So everyone's looking. We've seen this before. This is the guy that's been lying to you, and here's Baghdad Bob. Missiles coming down behind him and a fire behind him. It's just like CNN when they said BLM was Black Lives Matter was mostly peaceful protests. Remember that? Here's General Mike Flynn. Now he's been caught in some scams recently of disinformation. So he used to be more reliable to me, and now he's been called out by Dan Bongino as a fear-mongering black pillar. I have largely not weighed in on that, but I'm just telling you guys what I'm thinking. Breaking war in Iran first, and I believe most important is for all Americans to steady themselves for a lot of misinformation. True. This will come from all angles of attack. True. In war and intelligence reporting, we say first, reports are always wrong. That's a good starting point for us all. I agree. So I think that's a sober view. We have to be careful. Here's Pastor Doug Wilson, one of my Christian buddies up there in Moscow, Idaho. Another person has wronged you and hurt you, or you believe that he has, and so you store up bitterness in your heart, but this bitterness pollutes and eats away at your own soul, not the soul of the one who wronged you. Breaking: New York PD's elite counterterrorism unit is now deployed heavy outside the Iranian embassy in Manhattan, plus other key Iranian-linked locations across New York City boroughs, right at the U.S. military operation as the operation hammers Iran. I think this is something we're all wondering. Where's the serious journalist, Don Lemon? Will he show up at a mosque to disrupt their prayer worship? I wonder. Yeah. Guys, what's the over-under betting on Don Lemon showing up at a mosque to disrupt their services? This is the Iranian embassy in New York, and we have New York PD. Okay. Just footage. We'll take that and say thank you. Here's Sean Davis. Now, this guy, he's a bit of a libertarian, a good buddy of mine. These are the guys that are very America first, so not going to be very pro-Trump. There's a friend of mine. I've had lunch with him here in Franklin, Tennessee. Sean Davis. Trump is not an idiot, and he's not a neocon. He's earned our trust. Thank you, Sean Davis. Before I even read this, I'm happy to hear that you came out on the right side of this. And yet, wars don't always go to plan, true, and they often make bad situations even worse. The enemy gets a vote. Pray for the safety of all Americans at home and abroad. Pray for a swift end and peace thereafter. Now here's an anti-Trumper going, how did Trump earn your trust? How? He's doing the laugh cry emoji. Come on, bro. So a bunch of anti-Trump and anti are in his chat. And that's what happens when you're an isolationist. You're going to attract a lot of those. And I'm thankful for my audience. I'm thankful for all of you in exile with me. Again, if you want to chat, I think you have to subscribe to talk, but I'd love to hear where you're from, what your opinions are on this war. Of course, subscribe. Of course, thumbs up right now. We have 3,500 people watching. There should be 35 thumbs up, 3,500 thumbs up. I am a prayerful host. I pray for this country. I also pray for my audience. My audience prays for me. You sustain my family. You guys are my full-time job as I bring you the news, and I'm always looking for new clips. We have this just in. This is from an hour ago. This is footage of Iranian suicide bombs. Again, everything is allegedly, because remember, Propaganda big time. Iranian suicide drones just hit Kuwait International Airport. So we heard about this airport being targeted. Every airline flying into the Gulf right now is a potential target. Well, I can guarantee you they've grounded their planes, I would think. Here's the footage. That's ceiling junk all hanging down. Ceiling goo, pipes.
يعطيك العافيه بس طاحت هني ما في حريق بس دخان ها
Drone.
شفتها شايفها بس اقصد ما في حريق
بس ضربت
انا شفتها انا كنت بالساحه
انا كنت انا بسرداب يمي ضربت
في اصابات في
لا الو
Yeah, we must free the Persian people. I'm all for that. I love liberty. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you is one of our metrics. We don't want to do everything for the Iranian people. We want to help them, not get all sucked in and involved. But it's easy for us to help. Here's Sam Altman. This is the head of that OpenAI. So last night I did a video on in this upscale of this conflict. It's obvious that all the tech companies could read everyone's messages and knew what was going on, even before it was reported. And Anthropic is an AI company that Pete Hegseth said, because they would not respect the US government, we're using Anthropic's AI in our military and we have to stop using it. So Trump made an announcement yesterday that our military was to remove all Anthropic AI products and materials from our government, and that we would be, he would use his office to go against them. So this is Sam Altman, who's the head of, and he's done deals with Trump on AI before. Here's Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI, and he's a guy that Elon Musk calls the Antichrist. Elon Musk calls him evil, and Elon Musk has the company Grok AI. And Sam Altman reached an agreement with Hegseth and our government last night. Tonight, we reached an agreement with the Department of War to deploy our models in their classified network. In all our interactions, the Department of War displayed a deep respect for safety and desire a partner to achieve the best possible outcome. AI safety and wide distribution of benefits are core of our mission. Two of our most important safety principles are prohibitions on domestic mass surveillance and human responsibility for the use of force, including for autonomous weapons systems. Now, initially, Sam Altman, earlier in the night, agreed with Anthropic, and then Sam Altman, who's a scumbag, instantly changed and made a deal with our government to go in where Anthropic was being removed. The future, this is weird. This is going to be a strange thing to say, but the future wars are going to depend on who has the most powerful AI tools on their side. In information, misinformation. China and us will be, if there ever was a war and a conflict with drones, robots, and AI, we would be sending out our bots and our AI to battle their AI as they try to shut down our electricity, and we try to shut down their electricity, as they try to disrupt our communications and we disrupt their communications infrastructure and network. So there's people that go like, AI is the devil. No, AI is a powerful tool. It's like being opposed to nuclear weapons. If Russia is ramping up nuclear weapons, we have to ramp up nuclear weapons. If China's ramping up AI, We have to use AI. It's exactly like the Second Amendment, guys. It's the Second Amendment. You want overwhelming force in the hands of good, free people, not just in a government and not just in other countries. So that's why I'm reporting on AI and the battles that are just happening in the last 24 hours, guys. It's going to be who has the most powerful AI, because your weapons will be meaningless. You can have all the ballistics, you can have all the F-22s, you can have all the planes, you can have all the refueling planes in the air, you can have the Gerald Ford cruisers, destroyers. It doesn't matter. They can be wiped out with AI. They can literally be reversed to work against your country with foreign AI controlling it. We have to be number one in the world with AI. We absolutely have to beat China. Period. This is being called Baghdad Bob. Again, we've already reported on this, where he said all their leaders are fine. Michael Knowles outlines the stakes in this morning's Iran strikes for the Trump administration. If this goes south, President Trump is risking perhaps his whole presidential legacy. However, if this works, if the U.S. succeeds in regime change in Iran and helps bring about a more pro-Western popular regime there, this will be the greatest foreign policy accomplishment of any president in our lifetime since the end of the Cold War. This is Donald Trump's Ronald Reagan moment. Tear down this wall. Tear down this wall. This is the liberation of Iran. 32 minutes ago, Iran's foreign minister says Supreme Leader Khamenei and President are both alive. Yes, they're alive, he says. The head of judiciary as well. The Speaker of Parliament as well. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. I don't believe this whatsoever. When Israel attacks a leader, he's gone. He's gone, guys. He is vapor. Here's Venezuela, Iran. Let me get this on screen a little bigger. Venezuela, Iran, Cuba, Greenland, Panama. It's all interconnected, and it all points to China. Remember when Trump came on stage in 2015 and he said China, and everyone made fun of him. China, China, China. It's China. China's involved with all of these guys, and Trump, we're fighting a proxy war with China. And with Iran, we just cut off one of their big oil supplies, and possibly even nuclear enrichment. As U.S. energy ramps up and China is deprived of subsidized oil, subsidized shipping channels, freedom of navigation through sovereign waters, and allies that can cause the U.S. problems, their global position diminishes substantially, and their costs of doing business skyrocket. Thank you, Donald Trump and Israel. Venezuela and Iran account for something like 20% of China's oil imports, and they're getting an insane deal on it. China has a huge problem if that oil goes away. That's a 20% gap in their fuel. By the way, their fuel also powers data centers, which is where their AI operates. You'd be forgiven for thinking Trump's foreign policy seems random and chaotic, but it's actually one of the most focused and thus far well-executed foreign policies in the last 2 generations. This is from last night with Breaking 911. The U.S. now produces more oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. Here's historian N. Fergus from the Free Press 47 minutes ago says the goal of the U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran is to decapitate the Islamic Republic and hope that out of that decapitation, can come a revolution in Iran, a regime that Iranians will create for themselves. Now, that was our promise in the war in Iraq. I'll tell you why it's different. This is a attack drone hits Palm Jumeirah Hotel in Dubai. And Dubai did not attack Iran, but Iran attacked Dubai, our ally. Here's the brilliant, and this is 5 hours ago, so I won't even report on that. I will do this because this is one of my buddies, John Nolte from Breitbart News. No, I'm not going to report on that either. This is just, I'm just looking for anything new. There's nothing new going on, looks like. 19 hours ago, breaking legendary actor Dennis Quaid is sitting next to President Trump on Air Force One. He played Ronald Reagan in the Ronald Reagan movie. Trump owns the culture. That's Dennis Quaid. He was in that movie, The Rookie, The Right Stuff. Oh, he's a fantastic actor. Inner Space. He was doing a Ronald Reagan imitation there. The reason why this could work and it didn't work in the war in Iraq is in the war of Iraq, when we liberated those people of Saddam Hussein, we were always trying to convince the people to be free and vote. We had to teach them. It was shifty on the ground. Iran has had a long history of freedom movements of a majority of their people. We're estimating about 70% of the people are ready to take that country. So I actually think we don't have to convince the streets as hard in Iran to be a linear, Western, pro-freedom, peaceful country that wants to liberate their women, get them out of a hijab and have them be allowed to dance. I think we don't have to do a lot of work to Westernize Iran because they've kept their people have been Westernized in there for 40 years, captive after Jimmy Carter's debacle and after Barack Obama funded that terror regime for all these years. I actually have a lot of hope for Iran. One last thumbs up, guys. I got to give my voice a rest. It's been a long 2 hours and 50 minutes, just a short little bit of news for you guys. I will take a rest. I got to run 6 miles today. I would appreciate your prayers for my son, John, who's in boot camp right now, for the Marines at Paris Island Kilo Company. I just want him to have courage and to continue to work hard. He's been there for a month. He's got 2 more months before the crucible. My Marine people in the audience know what that means. And it's going to take everything he's got to make it. And I've never been more proud of him, even for the attempt. He's a greater Tenaple than any Tenaple ever has been. Just for the attempt, I'm so proud of him. So thankful. He can draw too. I'm very thankful he did not go into the arts, but is going into the Marines. I go, dude. He goes, Dad, what should I do? I can go to college. I can drop. I can just go to work. He works at Jersey Mike's making sandwiches. Or I can join the Marines. I go, join the Marines? He goes, yeah. I don't know what to do with my life. I want to find what to do in the Marines. I go, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I would be so proud of him. So prayers for Johnny, prayers for Iran, prayers for our military over there inserted in theater, prayers for Donald Trump, and may God bless you. May his countenance, his face shine upon you and all your loved ones. We pray for God's will on earth as it is in heaven. We want his kingdom to be made real here. That is, there's only one opinion I care about. You and I can disagree. I don't even care about my opinion. I only care about God's opinion. I'm going to go read the word. I'm going to get God's opinion on all things. And I pray that we would conform ourselves to his perfection. I'm Doug, in exile. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more news today. Make sure you subscribe, thumbs up, call that chapter number, my people. It's in the description, 631-961-8696, if you want your Medicare figured out. I'm Doug, in exile.